No, yesterday. Baylor.
Brainstorming.
Brainstorming. And what do we do when we brainstorm? Bailey.
We think of ideas into the story.
Right, we think of ideas that we want to incorporate into our story. What else do you do during your brainstorming process?
You don't put sentences. You just think of good things to put them in your sentence.
Right, so brainstorming is just coming up with your ideas. You just write your ideas down. Then after your brainstorming, what do? We went over this yesterday. What do we do after our brainstorming? Great.
We do our web.
And what is a web? What do we do with a web?
A web is where you get to tell your story, only it's not like a whole story. You have to write it in bubbles.
Right, so you're putting each individual detail into a bubble, right?
Right.
And we're talking about, and this is where you start to formulate your story, okay? Now, after we are done with our bubble, what is it time to do? Brayden? What do we do before we start peer editing? Because that's the stage that we're on today. But what did we do first? Hayden?
Right.
We write our story, okay? So we write our story, and when you're writing your story, and you did this yesterday, what do we do? What's the first thing that we do? Caitlin?
Write your title on top of the page.
Write the title on top page. What's number 2? Cheyenne?
Look back over your brainstorm web and see what you should write about first. This should be something that will make the reader want to keep reading.
Right, so you took your bubbles from your web and you put them into order, right? And then you made your rough draft. What's the third thing that you do then? Elijah?
Put the
Rest.
rest of you
Thoughts.
thoughts into order and into
Complete.
complete sentences.
Complete sentences. And when you're doing complete sentences, should the reader be left asking, well, what just happened? If it's a complete sentence, it's going to give you all of that information. And what's the last thing that we need to do during our rough draft stage? Justin?
Finish your story. Remember to give it an ending.
Good. Now, we have all written our rough drafts. Now we need to peer edit or revise, okay? We have a little paper that we're going to go over, and it's called Camping. And there are lots of mistakes taking place in here. We're going to walk through this together, and we're going to revise or peer edit this little excerpt, okay? Teaching you guys exactly the different signs. I use a bunch of signs, don't I, when I'm doing your guys' revising your paper? Yeah. So I'm going to teach you my signs and the signs that we use in order to help a friend out to do a peer edit. Does everybody have a piece of paper?
Yes, ma'am.
What's the first thing that we do when we get a piece of paper?
Write your name.
Nice, John. What's the first thing? We write our name. All right. Yes, Lance.
Can I put something more pickle?
Not right now.
What just broke?
Very quickly. Okay, on the side, you see proofreading marks. When we are proofreading and you are revising, you are going to use these special marks. If it needs a capital letter, you are going to underline it twice or 3 times. If it needs a period, you're going to put that period at that end and circle it so that your friend knows that they needed to add a period in that spot. Okay? Same thing with a question incorrectly? We circle the word. All right, let's go over this. This is, how many sticks can we find in this? Okay, it's called camping. Caitlin, can you read the first sentence for me, please?
I went camping with my family.
I went camping with my family. Now, what's the mistake that we see first off, Haley?
There's no capitalized at the first sentence.
There needs to be a capital in the first sentence. So what is, if you look over here in your proof marks, what is the mark that we do to show capitalizing? Cheyenne?
The very first one, you put 3 lines.
You put 3 lines underneath it. I want everybody to do exactly what I just did. So now you're going to see this and you're going to know, ooh, that needs to be capitalized, right? Okay, so I went camping with my family. Blake, can you read the next sentence for me?
We went fishing and I caught a big fish.
Now, what does somebody see in here? Brayden?
A capital at the end, and it's in the middle of the sentence.
I'm not seeing a capital in the middle of the sentence. Timo, what do you see?
The H is not where it's supposed to be.
Right. What is this word supposed to be? What did you say this word was, Blake?
Went.
Went. Is this how we spell went?
No.
How do we spell went? Everybody?
W-E-N-T.
So what do I need to do to tell my friend that this is incorrect? Haley?
We circle it.
We circle it so that they know they need to go back and check that word. Okay, who would like to read the next sentence for me? David.
I also went swimming with my brother.
What's going on in that sentence? Elijah, what do you see?
I see this one have a E in it.
Which one? This one right here?
What? Yeah.
Went. It's spelled wrong, right?
Again.
It's spelled wrong again. So, what do we do? Circle it. Now, what else do we see? Cheyenne?
No. The S is supposed to be small because there's no period. It's supposed to be little.
Exactly. Is there supposed to be a capital just in the middle of the sentence? No. Somebody look over here on the proofreading marks and tell me, what do I need to do to make a lowercase letter? Drake?
You have to use the line that was going.
Right, we're just going to put a line right through that S. And that's going to tell my friend that they need to go back and they need to make that S little. Is there anything else that we see in that sentence? I think that sentence looks pretty good. Let's go back into the next sentence right here. Who would like to read this for me? Bailey.
We had a campfire every night.
We had a campfire every night. What do we see? Aiden?
That had is misspelled.
Had is misspelled. How do we spell had? Everybody.
H-A-D.
Okay, so what do we have to do to tell them that had is misspelled? Somebody I haven't heard from. Sarah. Circle it. Now, there's something else. Do we remember when we talked about compound words? What word in that sentence could be a compound word?